Hey, welcome back to the AWS Certified Developer Preparation course. Right now we're going to look at some of the sample questions that I wrote, and let's go ahead and assess the knowledge that we have, and based off of that, we'll be able to see, what areas we need to look into. Okay, so this is a sample question that I wrote regarding deployment. And if you watched my previous video, you saw that by looking at the exam guide, one of the areas that you're tested in is deployment. So first of all, I was going to start out with deployment. And I wrote a sample question, and it goes like this. Which of the following AWS services will allow you to quickly and consistently manage resources as infrastructure as code? And when you're taking the exam, one of the important things to look at is keywords. And right here we see the word quickly and consistently. And then the other one is infrastructure as code. So the question is, which one of these services can do that? Now, if you're not familiar with AWS, or if you're not familiar with some of these other services, obviously you may not know. But if you look at the first one here, it's Elastic Beanstalk. If you're familiar with AWS, you know that it is a service. B, Code Deploy. You know that that one is also a service. And AWS CloudFormation, you know that one is a service. And the last one, AWS Managed Code. And you may be thinking, okay, you know what? I've never heard of that one. It may not be a service. So if you're sure that D is not a service, you can eliminate that one from the answers. So you're left with the first three: Beanstalk, Code Deploy, and CloudFormation. Well, the answer is C, CloudFormation. Now, CloudFormation allows you to quickly and consistently manage resources as infrastructure as code. Now, with CloudFormation, you can create templates that are written in either YAML, a text file, or JSON. And in those templates, you can specify, for example, if you want to create 3 EC2 instances and you want to put them inside a VPC and you want to give them a security group, you can do that with CloudFormation. So let's say you do that on the US East Virginia region. Now, as soon as you deploy that, you'll be able to manage your resources there. But if you want to quickly and consistently do the same thing on another region, let's say somewhere in California, US California, then you can take the same template and deploy it to another region. So that's quickly and consistently, and it also is infrastructure as code. All right, so let's look at the next question. Okay, so you work for a small company with 2 developers building web applications in .NET. No one is available to manage the infrastructure, and both need to focus on development 100% of the time. Which of the following services should be used? Okay, so Code Deploy is a service. Code Pipeline is also a service. Elastic Beanstalk is a service. And Code Commit, it's also a service. So any one of these can be a valid answer. But what we're looking at here is the developers cannot manage infrastructure. So we need a service that would allow us to deploy our code and host it. Now, the first answer is Code Deploy. You see, one of the things about AWS Code Deploy is that's what it does. It just deploys. So we know that that one is not the answer. The next one is AWS Code Pipeline. Well, with Pipeline, with pipeline, you can work with some of the other services together to make a pipeline. Okay, so that one is not going to work. So we're left with Beanstalk and code commit. Now let me go down to code commit. Code commit is just like GitHub or GitLab. It's going to host your code. So that's not what we're looking for. That we're looking for something that will manage the infrastructure for our developers. So the answer is Beanstalk. With Beanstalk, you can focus on your infrastructure. Excuse me. You can focus on your code as a developer, and then let Beanstalk handle the deployment and the infrastructure that goes along with it. Okay, so we've now gone over 2 sample questions, and if you have not been able to answer the question for the first question and the second question, then you got to ask yourself, do I really know this? I've never heard of these services, or it was difficult for me to answer these questions. Well, that's your indication that you need to do some work. Okay, let's go to the next question. You are working in CloudFormation template for the first time. All right, so now going back to question number 1, the question was pertaining to CloudFormation, and we know that we can quickly and consistently manage resources and write the code in a YAML format or JSON format in a template. So here it says, let's say this is our first time, and we've gone over the documentation, and we try to see how we build a template. And now we're being asked which of the following sections are part of the template. So we have A, B, C, D, and E, and we are to select 3. Well, if you don't know what the answer is, we're going to look at the documentation so we can get some assistance here. So let's go ahead and open up the browser. And we want to go to the CloudFormation anatomy. Okay. And this document here gives us all the sections of a CloudFormation template. And I'm going to scroll down on. I know this is in JSON format, but I like to go down to the YAML format. Okay, so we see that the sections that are inside a template, a CloudFormation template, are the version, the description, metadata, parameters, mappings, conditions, transform, resources, and outputs. So A is found in the template. B, containments, we don't see that in the template, so that's not it. Snapshots, we don't see that in the template. We do see resources, D, and we do see outputs, E. So if the question is asking us to select 3, well, the answer here would be A, conditions, D, resources, and E, outputs. And later on in a couple of videos, we're going to work with a CloudFormation template, and we're going to be working with some of these sections here. So if you did not know what the answer was, we went to the documentation and we can memorize these sections. But see, it's always best to get some hands-on training, and that way when you take the exam, you'll be able to better remember some of these answers and some of these sections that are contained in the CloudFormation template, I think that's just a better approach. Is just to get some hands-on experience and just be able to see what CloudFormation is all about. Okay. All right, so let's go to question 4. You are updating an existing CloudFormation template in YAML and wanted to make it more dynamic by forcing the EC2 instances to be created using an AMI from the region the template is executed from. Which of the following syntax is valid? So basically, with the CloudFormation template, you can hard code the AMI. So for example, if I wrote a CloudFormation template to launch a new EC2 instance, I have to give it AMI. And let's say if I gave it an AMI of a Linux machine, I can't do that. But if I want to reuse the template, what I want to do is just create a list of AMIs that are available. And that way I have more options. So the syntax that we see here is this is a function, a built-in function for CloudFormation, where I have a list of regions. Okay, so my list would be the region map. And let's say if I have 5 AMIs that I can choose from, what this function is going to do is it's going to find the AMIs that are available in that region. So which of the following syntax is valid? And if you don't know what the syntax, what syntax is valid, it's an indication that you're not familiar with writing these templates. So what you do is you want to get familiar and you want to write as much templates as possible. That way, when you take the exam, you may get a question with some syntax. I know that for me, I remember getting a question on CloudFormation one time on the exam, and it asked me on syntax. So that's just something to keep in mind. Okay, let's go to the next question. Which of the following is not a valid built-in function, an intrinsic function of AWS CloudFormation? So we have we have 5 options: A, B, C, D, and E. Well, once again, if you don't know what the answer is, that's just an indication that you're not familiar with CloudFormation and you haven't really worked with it. So what we want to do is go back to the documentation and look at the functions. Okay, let's see here. All right, so let's go back to built-in functions. Okay. All right, so this is the list of all the functions that are available to us in a CloudFormation template. So the first one here is get AZs, which is here. The second one is ref. The third one is find in map. So those are all 3 are valid. Then f and stack. All right, so that one is not valid. And then f and base 64 is here. So the question is, which of the following is not a valid built-in function? All right, so we can pick this one out of the list here. So as you can see, as we're going through some of these sample questions, if you've had trouble with the answer, again, this is an indication that you have some work to do and you're lacking in knowledge. But that's okay, because we're going to go over some of these things, and we're going to try to get our hands dirty as much as possible All right, if you just stick around to the next videos, we'll learn a little bit more.